Welcome to Storyteller Specials, our brand new podcast series where we bring you inspiring stories and conversations with remarkable personalities from across the globe. For our very first episode, we are thrilled to have Naveli Garg with us, a multi-talented force who is redefining creativity and advocacy in her own way. So let's start off with your early life.
Yeah.
Great. So tell us a bit about yourself. Like, who are you beyond the titles and achievements that you have gained so far?
Yeah, so I'm Naveli. I've been born and brought up in the States, in the US. And I have come from an Indian background. My family's second generation immigrants now. I studied psychology in my bachelor's, and I have also done training in arts. I've done my Bharatanatyam graduation and done my Arangetram. I'm trained in 12 styles of dance. I have a lot of different things to my name. I'm a poet, I'm an author, and so much. But it all boils down to psychology, which is furthering my passion right now, and I'm studying a Master's of Arts in Consciousness and Human Potential at the moment.
Okay, that's nice. So even after you're based in the US right now,
Yes.
you're still kind of connected to the Indian cultural roots. Like you have learned Bharatanatyam, as you told me.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's really, that's something to be applauded about.
Yeah, I think part of me growing up, I have a sister as well, and so she's trained in classical Hindustani singing as well. So our parents have this philosophy that, okay, we are in the States, but that doesn't mean that the Indian needs to come out. It should stay with our roots. And so I've learned Hindi, I'm learning Sanskrit. It's an ongoing process, and I love it.
You're learning Sanskrit as well.
I am learning
Even
Sanskrit.
a lot of Indians being in India don't learn Sanskrit, and you are learning it. So
Yeah.
that's like, wow.
It is part of my master's at the moment that
Okay.
I learned Sanskrit, and I'm specifically learning the sound values, how it's important, why things were chosen, why each letter was chosen. So learning the science behind it as well, along with the language and the culture.
Okay. So let's talk about your journey from, let's say, your childhood till now. So I heard you started a dance team back in high school. That's really cool. And I want to know, what's the journey behind it? What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so the story kind of gets dark really quickly. So I think the parenting philosophy that I had told you about earlier, where my parents really wanted me to stay connected to my roots, but along with that, we started talking a lot in the family, really nurturing the traditions, the culture, the Indian culture.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of moments where I was able to, quote unquote, what people say, give back to people. So I started a charity, I started different things, and then suddenly, abruptly, in 7th grade, I was molested and abused in the park behind my house. And I felt like my voice had been taken. I was in 7th grade, I was 12, 13, and suddenly, my identity, what I thought was myself, I didn't know how to talk about it, I didn't know how to feel about it. You don't hear about these things.
You were very young at that.
Yeah, I was very young. And so it just kind of kept being a block in my head. After a few months, I shared about it with my parents and with my friends, and it helped me come out of the shell that I had gone into. I started failing my classes, not going to school, not going to dance, which I loved. So my friends knew that something was wrong. And so when I finally got my voice again, my power, my identity back, again, I was hit with some of my boyfriend's best friend. He drugged me and he raped me in the back of his car. And it was traumatic. No one really, you get victim blamed, and this is happening again, and all that. And so suddenly, I felt very much like my voice had been suppressed again and again and again. And so that is where really the journey of the dance troupe, the Avaz, came out. Avaz means voice in Hindi, right?
Yeah.
So giving voice to those unexpressed voices, those suppressed voices, expressing them out through the journey of dance. And dance is something I love, and it's a storytelling, it's a sport, it's an art, it's a drama, it's everything encompassed into one. And so that is how Avaz started. We did stories on cyberbullying, which I have gone through, on gender dysmorphia, which is, you don't feel like you're in the right body, not necessarily LGBTQ, but more so you don't like this part of your body. You keep pinpointing that. Eating disorders, which I knew so many people had so many of these experiences happen to them. So just, bringing those voices out, that was the purpose. And my story helped to bring that.
That is wonderful. And the fact that you are kind of comfortable to talk about what you went through. Many people are not even comfortable to talk about it, let alone publicly to their own companions or parents or something. So even in India, I've heard that 2 out of 3 girls are in some way catcalled or molested,
Yes.
or something or the other. And you went through it twice.
Not
I'll just say
twice, I actually went through it thrice. So it becomes even bigger, but please keep going.
Nice. I have to say you are a very strong person if you can talk about it like this. So
It's at a stage where I'm able to talk about it, feel comfortable about it, because you label yourself, you start labeling yourself, maybe I'm the issue, maybe I'm the problem. People say 3 is a pattern. So for me, it became 3 is a pattern, then 3 is a problem. If 3 is a problem, then 3 is me. And I happen to meet guys, maybe I am the problem, right? I started figuring out, okay, if this is the issue, I have to change this about myself. I have to be more likable, more smiley, more yes, more sorries. That's not the way you should live. And once I kind of did that for so long, I realized, no, dude, this is not correct. And it was a quick switch, but once that switch happened and I felt like, you know what, my story can help people, bringing those voices out, that really changed the game.
So, if you don't mind me asking, did you discuss about these physical abuse stories in your book as well?
Yes, I have. In my book, it is, these are the 3 that really stand out. The third one, just to give you some context, I was in a domestically violent relationship, borderline, and it was physically and emotionally abusive. And for me, it was very much, once I started talking about it, just to answer your question, I did start talking about it. I did start sharing my story. I think the first time I shared my story was in 9th grade, publicly, not just to my friends and my close peers, but publicly. And I remember this one moment where this girl, she was in 6th grade, and she came up to me and she said, your story inspired me. I want to thank you. And she gave me a hug and she started crying. And as a 9th grader who's just talking about this, just figuring out her own body and all of these things and these such big constructs and ideas in society, I didn't really know how to feel, but I had that, they say that your heart starts flowing.
Yes.
That's what I felt, where my heart felt full, and I felt like, you know what? This is what I think I should do. I need to talk about it. So I have mentioned it in the book. I have pulled out different times. These 3 are the times where it stands out. But every single girl on the daily, I was taking a cab ride over here, and I could see on the side people are staring in. I look pretty, I look good. Boys are staring, and it's just part of society, which is unfortunate.
Now.
It is so unnormalized. So it is something that, we want to, the more I tell about my story, the more my friends understand, my peers understand, other people understand how things can affect, how this victim blaming, this cycle of, abuse stems. The more that happens, the more this is, gonna degenerate. It's gonna pull back.
Correct.
So that is why it's included in the book, why I talk about it publicly.
That's very brave of you.
Thank you.
Okay. So you've got so much going on. You told me you were into dance, art, science, a lot of science, different roots of science. And you've been an entrepreneur, a writer, a poet, if I'm not wrong, and a mental health educator as well. So what pulled you into all of this, so many things of life?
So yeah, when put my mind to it, I will always get it done. There's actually a saying in my household that whether I think I can or whether I think I can't, I will always do it right. So again, when I really want to study something, when I want to understand something, I will pull it back. I will always relate something back. So when I was in 9th grade and I started talking about, my story and what happened, and I realized that this area, understanding psychology, understanding the brain, that was important. And it really formulated a core question in my head. And that's the way I kind of live my life. And even now I'm doing my studies to help answer this question, which is, why do people do the things that they do, whether it's good or bad? It's a very easy question, right? Why do we do what we do? But to understand it, to really understand the core, it's to understand decision making. It's to understand your neuroplasticity. How does something retain but something doesn't? If you tell me something and someone else tells me something, I'll remember what you told me, but I won't remember what they told me. Why? Why did I make a decision to help someone rather than harm someone? In all of this process, I realized that psychology is the core. So I studied psychology, but I also studied the biology of the brain, which became my major, biopsychology. So it was really easily combined. And then again, because I have such roots in women's studies and gender and equity and equality, I took a minor in gender studies as well, and women in gender studies. So I have different things that I've studied and I've brought it out. Again, I'm an artist, I'm a poet as well, as you mentioned, I'm an author. It all relates back, everything comes back to psychology, but understanding why people do the things that they do, whether it's good or bad.
These topics that we discussed about biopsychology that you're currently pursuing, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I'm doing a master's in consciousness and human potential. So it's an eastern side to the western philosophy of psychology that I studied in my bachelor's.
Okay, alright. And also the gender...
the gender studies, yes.
Yeah. This is something that is not at all heard about in India. Biology and psychology are two different topics. Like, this is the first time I've heard them combined. It's like a very interesting thing. I would like to know more about it outside the podcast, obviously. And the gender studies thing that you're talking about, people are aware that there is a third gender, but it's not very much appreciated. So when you told me that you're learning about gender, so do they openly talk about the third gender in that, or is it just man and woman?
No, so what you study in gender studies, so it's a broad term. It's gender, sexuality, and women's studies. So anything in those three, basically looking at different lenses. So I'll actually talk about one thing. It's very close to me, and I live by this, and it's actually included in the book as well. It's called intersectionality. And so the concept of intersectionality is very easily understood by, if I take me. Okay, I'll give me as an example. My name is Naveli. I am a woman, right? I'm cisgender. I am straight. I am Indian by race and by ethnicity, but I am by nationality. I am American. So these are, and I'm able-bodied. I'm middle income. These are all different layers to me. You have different layers. All of these give me some either benefits or some pull me down. Take a woman named Fatima. In our today's current generation, current world, she is from Iran, she's Muslim, she is a woman, right? So you have all of these layers that pull her down in the bucket of nationality or religion or whatever, gender or sexuality, whatever it is, she's the lowest most.
Because it's a stigma related to...
Yes. So if you understand her intersectionality, you will understand how much she goes through. How much, I'm a woman, I go through troubles related to man and woman a lot, most of the time. Because I'm a middle income, I generally don't get that much, income. And, well, I have privilege, I just don't get that 1%, the upper class privilege. But it's not like my life is difficult in that manner. But you look at poor, the poverty, low-income societies, they have it really hard. differently. You look at Bharavi, they have it extremely hard.
Yes.
So you see all of these buckets, and it's not about comparison, it's about understanding how I'm living, what my perspective of life. My perspective is really much viewed through a lens of gender. Fatima's perspective is viewed through all of these different lenses because she's going through all of these hurdles. So relating this back, you study in gender, sexuality, and women's studies, you study all about this. You study how it's all interconnected. It's not just black and white. It's not just one or the other. You asked about third gender. You have Hijra community in India. You have a different community, I'm forgetting the name, in Mexico, but you have different communities that are all in the third gender category. And you also have fluidity between man and woman.
Yes.
Femininity versus masculinity, that's a really big, it's actually one of the subjects that I took, masculinity.
Okay.
So I can go on and on about this. I did a whole paper on this. But yeah, it's something that we talk about really a lot in this sphere. I could have done a major in this as well. That's how much I know about.
So what keeps you motivated to, just keep moving forward even when things get tough? You talked about the abuse you went through, and you told me that it pulled you away from the one thing that you loved the most, which is dance.
Yes.
But then going thrice through something so similar, what is that one thing in your mind that told you that no, Naveli, you have to keep going forward, there is no stopping?
So I think I heard this one quote, change is the only constant in life. And once I heard that, I really started living by it. No one likes change. No one likes anything hard, or we like things to be easy. We like things to be just given to us on a silver platter. That is not life. So the minute I started living by change is the only constant. I think actually my dad told me this first, and then my mom echoed it, and hearing it from the two parental figures in my life, I felt like, what, if this is a change in my life, this change is going to guide me in the correct light for me. It doesn't mean it's the correct light for you. It's the way that I will live my life. I define who I am, and I have to be okay with change. And so that kind of concept really underlaid everything that I've done.
Did you ever find it in your heart to forgive the people for what they did to you?
So for the longest time, I lived by the motto, forgive but don't forget. Forgive the people and move on with your life. It's not, until you don't forgive those people or the instance or whatever, you hold it. You hold it dear to you. It's like this bottle that's just waiting to erupt.
Yeah.
The minute you forgive, suddenly everything feels free. And I remember the moment, actually, I was kind of sitting on a chair and I took a deep breath and I just let everything out. Suddenly my body just felt open. I felt like I was taking a new breath into the world. I felt like, wow, it's great. And the minute, actually a few months ago, I realized that it's not don't forget. It's okay to forget, because the minute you still, hold on to those people, they have a hold on you. It's kind of like those invisible shackles.
Yeah.
So I forgot. I said, you know what? I still had their numbers saved in my phone. I deleted it. I said, everything that could tie me back to the past, let it go. Be free. And I like to think of me as like a nightingale. And so I said, you know what? Be free. Let the nightingale be free. And so that's how I was able to get past some of these hurdles.
Again, very brave of you. Not something that any physical abuse or survivor can do, but I think that's very commendable.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you must have talked about it in your book, like how did you come out of whatever you went through? Is that something that you have talked about in the book?
Yeah, again, I had mentioned that studying psychology through my art and just my studies itself, that really helped me. I think for part of it was, understanding. I really talked to a lot of people. That was really sharing is a key part of getting perspective. You think that you are going, and I was sharing about intersectionality earlier, right? So I think through the lens of gender that I went through it the worst. Humans are intrinsically selfish. As much as we want to say, no, I live for others and I do everything. You know, we all care about our bottom line. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to sleep here, I want to eat this, whatever it is. So when the minute I started saying, you know what, yes, owning that I sometimes am selfish, but then saying it out loud that it's okay, I felt like it's all good. I felt like, you know, the slate is wiped clean. And so I'm no longer holding it in. I'm sharing it out loud. I'm saying whatever I went through, and I'm saying that, you know, this is my story. This is how I'm studying. This is why I'm studying. I'm laying it all out there. It's part of my name now. So for the book, I had gone through certain different hurdles. I'd started sharing a lot more, as I've said. I started doing dance pieces, and at first none of my family members, extended families, knew that, you know, it's part of my story. The minute I started sharing with them, it no longer felt like a taboo, like stigmatized. The more you say it, the more you feel like it's not you. It doesn't define you. It's not your identity. And so I did put it in the book. I did say that this is me. This is what happened, but this is no longer who I am. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. Yeah, I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. I don't like the word victim. I am a survivor. That is how I am.
So I did mention that you were a survivor. I was corrected that way.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Great.
I would have corrected you if you said victim. Don't worry.
I'm glad I did not. Okay. I believe sharing takes like a weight off your shoulders as well. The more you share, the more you can relate to what happened to you. So you must have you mentioned that you felt much lighter. So
I did. I felt significantly lighter, and you know, sharing is just, we like to get different perspectives. You know, you're always stuck in, I have it worst. I have it, like, I went through so much struggle to get where I am. No, I think the month after things, you know, happened to me, and I went back into my shell in 11th grade, my mom, she actually said, no, you need to go travel. So we came to India, we visited Dharavi, we visited Samarthanam in Bangalore, and they are a school for the blind. And so blind kids were playing cricket. And I was like, wait, what? Blind kids playing cricket, right? Okay. Like, I don't know how to play cricket, first of all, but it's just the idea, right? The idea that the kids from Dharavi are now going to college and they've grown up and they have it so bad, sometimes they don't know if they're gonna get water or food that day. They don't have a stable home or a stable shelter. I have all of those. I am privileged in that manner, so I don't have it the worst at all. There's no way I have it the worst. I have it pretty okay. Just something happened to me that does not define me, and that's kind of how it helped switch that perspective, that sharing. That's what I'm talking about.
The more you travel, the more you learn.
Yeah. Exactly. Very clearly, very plainly said, but I love it. I love it.
Okay, now that we're discussing about journeys and things around it. So you're in India right now.
Yes.
But you're based out of California.
Yes.
And I am sure it's not the first time you've visited India.
No. I visited many times. Yeah.
Okay. But every time that you came to India, you must have explored quite a lot. And I just want to know, how was your journey back when you visited a lot of times? And you must have seen a lot of changes every time you visited India, right?
Yeah, so my home base is in India. So my dad is from Agra, my mom is from Delhi.
Okay.
And so I used to go to Agra a lot.
You must have seen Taj Mahal.
Many times. I have so many pictures of me just growing up, different stages of Naveli, and Nitya as well. Nitya is my younger sister as well. We both are, changing and growing, and at Taj Mahal, constant. But yeah, I've seen Agra a lot. I've seen Delhi a lot. But I think this and the previous trip has been one of the first 2 trips where I'm understanding the layout of India. I'm understanding a little bit more. Otherwise, it was all mom and dad would tell me to go here. Okay, I'll go here. Okay, mom and dad would tell me to go here. Okay, I'll go here. I don't really remember a lot about the trips because of that.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen a lot of progress in India as well happening. Yeah.
That's actually very true because we are a developing nation, but we are rapidly moving towards being a developed nation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's not just me speaking, that's the stats speaking.
That is the stat speaking.
Yes.
I was actually saying this to someone who's questioning about India. You know, I'm coming from US, it's a developed nation.
Yes.
And you know, people think that India is not a developed nation yet.
Yeah.
Yes, and underneath the guidelines right now as it's standing, no, it is not, but it's almost there. To the point where you can practically say, you know, within the next year or 2, it should be a developed nation. Yes, it is also. If you know about the UN SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN has laid out 13 which are critical, and India is rapidly on the rise for a lot of these goals. To, you know, some of them are end poverty, some of them are equity and inequality, some of them are green energy. All of these are helping the economy. All of these are pushing India to become a developed country.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Coming from you, an American girl, I feel so glad to be an Indian right now, you know.
Don't worry, at heart I'm Desi.
Yes, that is very, oh my god, I love that.
At heart I'm very much Desi, don't question it, don't worry.
Lovely. I read a term called charity dress in your book, so I'm really intrigued to know what is it and like how did that idea come about?
Yeah, so Charity Dress is the nonprofit, the 501c3 nonprofit that we founded in the States. So the idea is dress up a cause. And so we started really with clothes. In 2011, I want to say, my mom and my whole family really, we went to Haridwar. And on the banks of Haridwar, there's an ashram. I'm forgetting the name of the ashram, but it's an ashram that is 3 things. 1, it's a hospital. 2, it's an orphanage, and 3, it's a school. And so the kids, the way that they had set up is on the banks of Haridwar. You know, you have a lot of people that suffer from leprosy.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, it's running rampant in the family. So we had, we visited, and that the ashram had established that okay, people that are suffering from leprosy, they will be treated at the hospital. But I think their mortality rate was so high because by the time they were able to see the patient, it was too late. And so the kids would then become orphans. So they went into the orphanage. And the orphanage then needed to, you know, educate the kids. So then they needed to have education, have a school. So we stayed there for a day, and it was 2 buildings. Was the orphanage. The orphanage each building was able to take 100 kids maximum. But the time that we had went, by that time already, there were 150 kids in each building, which meant it was overcrowded by 150%.
Yeah.
So we had, you know, I had a lot of cute dresses and things, and the thing is, it's a government provided ashram, it's government funded. They didn't have much resources or much avenues to give any kids anything. They didn't really have any toys. They had 2 pairs of uniform. One that they wore yesterday that they would wash, and the other one that they were wearing today, and then they would recycle and repeat. So that was it. They had 2 pairs of clothes. They had practically no toys. They had a swing set. They had those things. They had some books. But the kids that were at 8th grade level were reading 5th grade material or learning 5th grade material. So you see, you know, I went there. I was a 5th grader at this point, and I was teaching the 8th grade kids
Oh.
And so, that felt odd. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I can't really help in this area. And the one thing that I could do is we had so many books and so many clothes, excess clothes. America has so much fast fashion. Even now, India has fast fashion. So all of the clothes, I gave them all away. And there was this one dress, this one girl with this one dress. My favorite dress. I'm looking back at it, I can picture it in my mind. It's this purple, really frilly, cute dress. And I remember feeling a little pain for me that I was going to give it away. But this one girl, she was really far away, and she saw the dress and she came running. And she was like, Didi, ye dress aap mere ko de rahi ho? And I said, हाँ, मैं आपको दे रही हूँ. And she immediately put it on her and she twirled around. And it was this cute, wholesome moment. Uske wajah se I said, all three of us, me, my mom, my sister, my dad as well, we all said this is needed. We have so much clothes. And when we did the studies, when we looked at the stats, each year at that point, at least 700 people died from hypothermia. Not because of anything else, but the lack of clothes. They just did not have clothing to keep them warm in the summer or in the winter time, that they would literally freeze. So you would see that, and I had so much excess clothes. Even now I have so much excess clothes, so I'm trying not to buy as much of fast fashion anymore. I'm trying to donate. We have so much just clothes in America, and now even in India, so much production, so much in our household that we just do not need and do not wear. So that's where Charity Dress started from. We started really housing collection centers in the US, bringing people together, incentivizing them to donate their clothes. And we would package them, make them, this would fit a 7-year-old boy, this would fit a 31-year-old man, this would fit a woman, whatever sizing, all of that. We would make it fit with whatever we were given and make it clothes for winter, clothes for summer, and then package it into one neat, this is a set of clothes that you can wear, and we would come and distribute. So we had a whole system. It was just very wholesome. It was dressing up a cause, dressing up. So that's why Charity Dress.
Okay. So that is where your entrepreneurial side also comes out.
Yes, that is where it kind of started in this direction, and then obviously it's pivoted with different things. But Charity Dress became really big, a really fundamental role in my life. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. Like, I have to say, you are all in one package.
Thank you. I think there's a lot more that I can learn, but I'm glad to know.
I'm learning quite a lot from you,
Thank
to
you.
be honest. Yeah, so very inspiring.
I would love to learn from you too. Don't worry. I think I'm lacking, and I think you have so much expertise in things.
Thank you for that. Okay, let's dive more into Charity Dress. So, what has your response been like so far to Charity Dress, and any memorable moments that made you think like, this is why I do this?
Yeah, so when I, Charity Dress, as I told you, it started with clothes. We kept doing this for a few years, and as we grew up, this is also, 2012 is when we started Charity Dress officially. I was 11 at that time. My sister was, doing math, 7 at that time.
Okay.
So we were really young, so we were also growing and maturing. And the thing with clothes is that it's good until it wears out.
Yeah.
Right. So what we realized is, the phrase, teach a man to fish, don't give him the fish.
Yes.
So that's that same philosophy we use for Charity Dress. We realized that we are right now giving the man the fish. We are giving one set of clothes, but that set of clothes will just prolong that, that suffering for a year maximum, right? If he wears it day to day, maybe 6 months.
Yes.
So if that's the case, then we need to keep going forward. We need to do something else. So to give those same people in low-income societies, low-income communities, the reason and the will and the money, the monetary power to buy the clothes to sustain themselves. So the one thing that we realized is today's world, if you see all of the NGOs, they're very focused on STEM, on teaching these hard skills, right? Technology or English or math or science.
Yeah.
But a lot of people from these communities are actually lacking those soft skills, time management, how to speak English. Are you able to communicate with someone?
Correct.
Right? Are you able to just, whether it's in your own dialect, that's fine.
Yeah.
But are you able to actually communicate in a sense that the other person understands what you're trying to say and help you grow as an individual?
Yeah.
Also where the book idea, I think,
Yeah.
started coming, but it didn't come to the forefront yet. So in 2017, we officially pivoted. Until then, we had gotten 14 collection centers. We had clothed 1,000 people plus across Tanzania, Mexico, US, India. That's our stats for charity dress. And then we pivoted and we said, you know what, no, it needs to be about connection. So we started Cause Connect.
Yeah.
And that was dressing up the connection cause. Right now we're not getting much exposure. Like I had said earlier, I'm very much stuck in my own ways, in my own circle. People in Paravi, people in other slums are stuck in their own circle. So they look up to me, but I'm not someone that necessarily needs to be looked up to. It's just we're on the same field. So get them perspective about how they can live their life if they work and study and do something with their life. And give me perspective on what struggles that they're going through. It's not just, about me.
Yeah.
And then we started really doing workshops and teaching those soft skills that I had said. We also did a food drive during COVID, based in Agra specifically. But we've done a lot of different things under charity dress, and at the moment it's kind of continuing to grow. But there's something else, something missing for us. So I will let you know once we land what's missing. It's something that's been working on right now. But yes, all of these projects are still going.
Okay. All right. And is there like a specific story from your work with charity dress that really stuck with you?
So I think one of the things that really stuck was, I think there's a lot of moments actually that I can say. I had said about, the one purple dress earlier. That is definitely a defining moment for charity dress for me. And more than that, I think most recently, this was a few years ago, I had visited, I'd said again, Samarthanam, the School for the Blind, the Trust for the Blind. I visited this ashram called Jivodaya Ashram. And it's for women who had previously been incarcerated but are now out in society. And the thing about incarceration, especially women, is they are shunned. Their community dismisses them. They're no longer alive in that community's eyes. Yeah. So just seeing, there was a kid, one of the moms had gotten, pregnant and had a child while she was incarcerated. Just seeing these people and how they had strength. So we started, being in talks to do yoga and dance lessons with them, getting their morals up, boosting them to be able to go out in society and kind of say, no, I was wrongly incarcerated. All of these women had either been wrongly incarcerated or incarcerated with a cause, but to a degree that they didn't need to be. They didn't need to be shunned by the society. They didn't need to go through this. So just, have the willpower to live. They didn't have the willpower to live. So just seeing those people in the Jivodaya Ashram, seeing the people at Samarthanam, I think there's many stories that I can tell you about this, but I think they all kind of tell me the same thing, that it's important to really drive home this idea that you're gonna be okay. Give people that perspective, give people the hope and I'm failing for words here, but kind of hold on, I'm trying to remember the word. The education, that's what I meant. The education for, how to build themselves up, how to get somewhere else, get out of the shell that they're currently in. Okay. I can say a lot of different stories.
It was great talking to you so far, but I think the audience needs a little bit more. I'm sure they are curious to know and learn more about you. So I think we'll continue this in the next episode, and I'll see you then.
Sounds good.
Yeah.